This is what they call the defrosting season here in Greenland, and every month billions of metric tons of ice are melting away, but each time just 1 metric ton breaks off. The sea levels rise and the entire planet is affected.
At first glance, it seems impossible for people to live in Greenland. Almost all you can see here is ice. It's vast, very quiet, and extremely cold. But beneath that thick ice, there's a hidden world that scientists are only now beginning to understand. And as they study Greenland more deeply, more mysteries emerge. They say they've found ancient mountains that have been buried by ice. There are also valleys and canyons that are even bigger than previously thought. And there are parts of the land that haven't seen sunlight for millions of years. For those who don't know, Greenland is the largest island in the world. According to National Geographic and NASA, almost 80% of the entire island is covered by a very thick ice sheet. In some areas, it is said to reach almost 3 kilometers thick. In fact, it's like covering an entire country with a massive mountain of ice. Because of this, there are only a few places here where people can live. Most people in Greenland live only on the edge of the island, near the sea, where there is less ice and fishing and travel are more possible. In the middle of Greenland, there are almost no permanent cities. It's just endless ice. And what's even more unusual is that there are also no normal highways connecting the towns. Most of the time, the only way to get to another place is by plane, helicopter, or boat. When you look at Greenland from above, it really looks like a huge white desert. But in reality, it didn't always look like this. According to studies by climate scientists and geologists millions of years ago, Greenland had a much warmer climate. There used to be forests here, there were plants, animals, and there were places without ice. But as the world cooled over a very long period of time, Greenland's massive ice sheet gradually formed. Every year, more snow accumulates on it every year. The old snow gets trapped underneath, and it gradually hardens until it becomes solid ice. And over a very long period of time, the ice became thicker and thicker until it covered almost the entire island. But even though Greenland was covered in ice, it doesn't mean that everything underneath it is dead. In fact, that's where the more surprising part of the story begins. Because using radar, satellites, and special equipment from NASA and other research teams, scientists are slowly getting a glimpse of what's beneath the ice. And what they found wasn't just a simple flat land. There are huge mountains, deep valleys, and a very long canyon that have been hidden under the ice for a very long time. There are also some areas that seem like an ancient world frozen in time. And as the world gets warmer now because of climate change, some parts of Greenland's ice are melting faster. Because of this, more parts of the hidden land are slowly being revealed. But along with this, the whole world is also facing a big problem. Because according to NASA and other climate studies, a huge amount of fresh water is stored in the Greenland ice sheet. If this continues to melt, sea levels could rise in different countries around the world. This means that what is happening now in Greenland is not just a problem of the Arctic. This could possibly affect millions of people in different parts of the planet. And as more ice melts, more secrets of Greenland are revealed from beneath its thick layers of ice. Secrets that have been hidden for thousands of years by the coldest place on Earth. But wait, let me pause for a moment. Before we continue the discussion, I'd like to ask for a like and please subscribe as well. This is a big help for us content creators. Thank you. So, let's get back to it. It's not just ice that's buried in Greenland. One of the longest records of Earth's climate is also hidden here. For many decades, scientists have been drilling deep into the Greenland ice sheet to collect what are called ice cores. It's like a long tube of ancient ice dug up from beneath the glacier, and each layer is like a page from the world's old diary. Each layer of ice was once snow that fell thousands of years ago. Over time, it gets compressed under new snow until it hardens and becomes solid ice. What's even more surprising is that there are tiny air bubbles trapped inside it. And according to NASA and climate researchers, those air bubbles are like a time capsule. Because of that, scientists can find out what Earth's atmosphere was like in the past, how hot the climate was, how much greenhouse gases there were, and how the world has changed over a very long period of time. Because of these ice cores, researchers have discovered that there have been several instances of extreme climate change on Earth. Even in the past, there were times when it was extremely cold, and there were also times when it was warmer compared to today. This means that the planet's climate has been going through changes for a long time. But according to many modern climate studies, the world is warming faster now compared to many natural climate shifts in the past. And as scientists studied the depths of Greenland more, they discovered something even more surprising. It's not just ancient ice underneath it. There are areas with hidden soil, plants, and organic material that are extremely old. Some scientists have also found remains of leaves, branches, and frozen soil beneath the thick ice. This means that there was a time when Greenland was not completely covered in ice. There were areas with plants and possibly a tundra-like ecosystem. It's like a cold grassland with simple plants and small forms of life. And what's even more surprising is that some of this evidence was actually obtained from old U.S. ice drilling projects decades ago. Because of this, many scientists became more convinced that the Greenland ice sheet once shrank significantly in ancient times. And this possibly happened when Earth's climate was much warmer. But it's not just the history of the climate that's hidden here. Even the very appearance of Greenland beneath the ice is also extremely unusual, because according to NASA's radar mapping and other research teams, the land beneath Greenland isn't just a simple flat surface. There are mountains, valleys, and a massive canyon hidden beneath the ice in the northern part of the island. According to studies, this canyon is hundreds of kilometers long and extremely deep. Some scientists have even compared its size to the Grand Canyon in America. But the difference is people can't see it because it has been buried under extremely thick ice for a very long time. It is believed that this was once the path of an ancient river before the giant ice sheet of Greenland was formed. This means that before the area was covered by ice, water used to flow here. And as radar technology becomes more advanced today, scientists can now see more clearly the true shape of the hidden world beneath Greenland. There are even some mountains that almost pierce through the ice. The rocks that stick out above the ice sheet are called nunataks. They're like small islands of rock in the middle of the vast white ice. But there's something even more surprising. According to studies, the Greenland ice sheet is so heavy that it has pushed the land of the island itself downward. In some areas, the land in the middle of Greenland is already below sea level because of the immense weight of the ice on top of it. And according to some scientific models, if all the ice suddenly disappeared now, it's possible that the appearance of Greenland would completely change. Instead of a solid island, it could look like a group of separate islands surrounded by the sea. This means that it's not just the ice in Greenland that's changing. Even the very shape of its land has been affected by the immense weight of the ice sheet over millions of years. And as more parts of the ice melt today, more secrets of ancient Greenland are slowly emerging from beneath this frozen world. Even so, as scientists study Greenland more deeply, it becomes clearer that it's not just a simple block of ice. Beneath it, there are traces of ancient disasters, hidden lakes, and living organisms that survive even with almost no light and extreme cold. In 2018, researchers announced a surprising discovery in the northwestern part of Greenland. Using radar that can see beneath the thick ice, they discovered a massive crater buried under the ice sheet. According to studies, it was possibly caused by a meteor that crashed into Earth thousands of years ago. This crater is enormous. It reaches almost 30 kilometers in diameter. Because it was quickly covered by ice, its preservation is excellent. It's as if Greenland hid the traces of an ancient collision from outer space. But that's not the only thing hidden beneath the ice. Scientists have also discovered subglacial lakes. These are lakes that can't be seen on the surface because they're buried under extremely thick ice. In other words, there's real water hidden beneath the long frozen surface.
Sa ilalim ng frozen na green.
According to studies, these lakes form because of the combination of the immense weight of the ice sheet and heat coming from beneath the ground. In some areas, The bottom of the ice melts even though the surface is extremely cold. That's why pockets of water get trapped beneath the glacier. Some of these lakes are small, but others can reach several kilometers in length. And what's even more surprising is that these lakes change as the ice above them moves. This means that the processes beneath Greenland are still alive and active, even though it looks calm and frozen on the surface. But things became even more unusual when scientists found evidence of ancient life beneath the ice. At Camp Century in northwest Greenland, frozen remains of plants were found beneath the ice core samples. There were leaves, branches, and organic material that were extremely old. According to researchers, some of these could be over 1 million years old. And this means that there was a time when there were plants and possibly small forests in Greenland. It wasn't just white ice like what we see today. There was life here back then. There was soil, and there was an ecosystem that was eventually buried by the giant ice sheet. It's like an ancient world, literally frozen in time. But what's even more surprising is that it's not just dead plants under Greenland. Living organisms have even been found there to this day. According to scientific studies, there are microbes and bacteria that live under the ice, even though there's almost no sunlight. Some of them were found deep within the ice cores. And according to researchers, there are bacteria that have remained alive even after being frozen for thousands of years. At first glance, it seems impossible for anything to survive in a place like this. There's no heat, almost no food, extremely high pressure, and the temperature is permanently below zero. But these tiny organisms still find a way to survive. Instead of using sunlight like plants do, they get their energy from chemical reactions in the rocks and minerals around them. Scientists call this chemosynthesis. This means that even without sunlight, there is still a way for life to exist. And because of this, scientists became more interested in the possibility of life on other frozen worlds, like Europa, Jupiter's moon, or some parts of Mars in the past. Because if something can live under the thick ice of Greenland, it might also be possible in other places in the solar system. There's another strange thing that's noticed every summer in Greenland. In some parts of the ice, dark patches appear on the surface. These aren't just ordinary dirt. These are usually caused by algae, dust, and microorganisms that live in the meltwater on top of the ice sheet. And because they are dark in color, they absorb more heat from the sun. Because of this, they melt the ice around them faster. They're like tiny living things that are slowly changing the surface of Greenland. So as the world studies Greenland more, it's becoming clearer that it's a massive frozen archive of Earth. It's not just a simple mass of ice. It's a place that holds ancient climates, traces of meteor impact, hidden lakes, and organisms that can survive in one of the harshest environments on the planet. As scientists focus more and more on exploring beneath Greenland's ice, one question keeps puzzling them even more. Is it possible that there are larger ecosystems hidden beneath the ice? Not just simple bacteria, but places with their own little worlds. This idea isn't just made up, because in Antarctica, subglacial lakes have been found beneath extremely thick ice. And based on findings from scientific expeditions, when researchers drilled into some of these lakes, they found microbes and tiny organisms that have been isolated from the outside world for a long time. There are also places in Antarctica that have heat from volcanic activity underground. In some underground caves there, mosses, fungi, and tiny organisms grow, even though it's extremely cold on the surface. It's like there's hidden life beneath a frozen planet. In Greenland, however, such volcanic cave systems have not yet been discovered. But according to studies, there are also some geothermal hotspots beneath the island. This means there are parts of Greenland that have natural heat coming from inside the Earth. And because of this, it's possible that there are places beneath the ice with liquid water and conditions that can support simple life. For now, there is still no evidence of large animals or strange creatures beneath Greenland. But according to scientists, it's possible that there are small ecosystems that have not yet been discovered until now. And every sample of mud, ice, or microorganism they get from beneath the glacier provides new information about survival in extreme environments. Because of this, scientists also use Greenland as a sort of practice ground to study if life is possible on other frozen worlds in the solar system. For example, on Jupiter's moon Europa, it is believed that there is an ocean beneath the thick ice, and if there are microbes that can survive under Greenland, it might also be possible on other worlds. But while scientists are studying the secrets beneath the ice, there is another, much bigger problem that is getting worse now, because Greenland itself is slowly changing. For many decades, researchers have noticed that Greenland's ice sheet is melting faster, and according to NASA and other climate monitoring groups, the Arctic is now one of the fastest warming parts of the planet. Every summer, more parts of the ice melt compared to before. Even the high and extremely cold areas in the middle of the ice sheet sometimes experience surface melting when the weather gets too hot. In 2012 and 2019, there were satellite images showing meltwater even in the highest parts of the Greenland ice sheet. This is very unusual because that place used to be extremely cold. What happened in 2021 was even more surprising. For the first time in modern records, it rained at the summit of the Greenland ice sheet. Not snow, but rain. And for many scientists, this is a clear sign of how intense and fast the climate is changing in the Arctic. Around Greenland, many glaciers that are directly connected to the sea are gradually thinning. They are sliding into the ocean more quickly. And because of this, more giant icebergs are breaking off and floating in the sea. According to studies, billions of tons of ice are lost in Greenland every year. And it's not just Greenland that's affected by this, because as the ice sheet melts, a huge amount of fresh water flows into the ocean, and this is now one of the biggest reasons for the rising sea level around the world. At first glance, the rise in sea level each year seems small, but when you add this up over many decades, it has a big impact on coastal cities and low-lying areas in different countries. And according to many climate projections, this could get even worse by the end of this century if the rapid warming of the world continues. So as the ancient world beneath Greenland is slowly revealed, one clear truth is also emerging. Ice is not permanent. It moves, it melts. And as Earth's climate changes, secrets that have been hidden for thousands of years beneath its icy surface are slowly coming to light. Today, the biggest question for scientists is no longer whether Greenland is melting, but how much longer it can be stopped. Because according to many climate studies, there is a possibility that the world could reach what is called a tipping point. This is the point where the ice will continue to disappear even if humans reduce greenhouse gas emissions. In simple terms, it's like a domino effect. When the climate reaches a critical level of warming, the melting of the ice sheet will accelerate more and more. And what's alarming is that a massive amount of ice is stored in Greenland. According to NASA and other scientific estimates, if the entire Greenland ice sheet completely melts, it could raise the world's sea level by almost 7 meters. That's enormous. Many coastal cities in different countries could be flooded or completely disappear from the map if that happens. But scientists clarify that this won't happen in just a few years. It could take hundreds of years for this to occur. But the problem is changes that are hard to reverse are already starting now. And as the world gets warmer, there are two things that are speeding up the melting of Greenland. First, the ocean around it is getting warmer. When the seawater is warmer, it eats away at the bottom of the glaciers that are directly connected to the sea. Second, some parts of the ice are getting darker. When there is soot, dust, or dark microorganisms on the surface of the ice sheet, it absorbs more of the sun's heat. Instead of reflecting the sunlight back, the ice gets warmer, and because of this, it melts faster. Now, scenes that used to be rare in Greenland have become normal. There are rivers of meltwater flowing right on top of the glacier. Some of them are bright blue in color, and in other places there are deep holes called moulins. Here, the melted water falls from the surface down to the bottom of the ice sheet. When there's more water under the glacier, the ice slides more and moves faster toward the sea. In 2010, there was a lake in Greenland that reportedly disappeared almost overnight after it drained down beneath the ice sheet. It's like the glacier literally swallowed the entire lake. But as Greenland melts, it's not just danger that emerges. At the same time, the interest of different countries and companies in the riches hidden beneath the ice is also intensifying. Because according to geological studies, Greenland is rich in various valuable minerals. There are rare earth elements, zinc, iron, gold, uranium, and gemstones like rubies. Rare earth elements have become even more important because these are used in modern electronics, batteries, wind turbines, and other green technologies. That's why many countries are interested in Greenland. In southern Greenland, there are some deposits considered to be among the largest in the world. And according to reports, there are mining companies from different countries like Australia and China that have long been interested in the area. As the period of extreme ice shortens and the permafrost gradually melts, mining in areas that were once almost impossible to reach becomes more feasible. But it's not just minerals that are attracting interest here. There is also a possibility that there are oil and natural gas reserves under the ocean near Greenland. Because of this, the possibility of Arctic drilling in the region has been discussed for decades. There were exploratory projects before that said there are rock formations that could possibly have oil deposits. But until now, it's still difficult to conduct large-scale extraction because of the harsh climate and the remoteness of the area. And this is where the decision of the Greenland government in 2021 stood out. Instead of expanding oil exploration, they announced that they would stop issuing new permits for it. According to their official statements at that time, they wanted to prioritize environmental protection and climate concerns over short-term profits from the oil industry. But even so, the geopolitical interest in Greenland still hasn't disappeared, because aside from its resources, its location is also very important. It's located between North America and Europe. It's also close to the Arctic Ocean, which is gradually becoming more accessible as the ice melts. That's why for major countries, Greenland is not just an ordinary island. It's a strategic territory that could play a major role in the future of the economy, resources, shipping routes, and global politics. And as more parts of Greenland emerge from under the ice, it's becoming clearer that it's not just ancient worlds hidden here, but also the battles for resources, climate, and power that could shape the future of the entire Arctic region. It's not just climate scientists who are interested in Greenland. For many decades, it has also been an important place for the military and global politics. During the Cold War, the United States built a large military base in the northern part of Greenland. It's called Thule Air Base. It is now known as Pituffik Space Base. It was important back then for America's surveillance and missile warning systems against the Soviet Union. Because the Arctic route between Russia and North America is so close, Greenland became a strategic location for military monitoring. But there was another, more secret project hidden from the public for years. In the 1960s, the U.S. military built an underground base right beneath the ice of Greenland. It was called Camp Century. At first glance, it seemed like just an ordinary research station. But according to declassified reports released over the years, they actually had much bigger plans back then. This was called Project Iceworm. Its goal was reportedly to build a network of tunnels under the ice that could be used to store nuclear missiles. It was like a secret missile system hidden inside the Arctic ice, but it never fully materialized. The project was eventually abandoned due to problems caused by the movement of the ice. Because even though the Greenland ice sheet looks solid and permanent, it actually moves over time. And this showed that even the biggest superpowers at the time had a hard time controlling the Arctic environment. But even today, the interest of major countries in Greenland hasn't disappeared. In 2019, it became big news around the world when reports came out that the U.S. government was interested in buying Greenland. Denmark and Greenland officials quickly rejected this, but it showed how important the island is in modern geopolitics. Aside from America, China is also interested in it. In recent years, China's involvement in the Arctic has expanded through scientific projects, mining, and investments. And according to some analysts, this is part of a larger strategy to gain influence in the Arctic region. As the ice in the Arctic continues to melt, new shipping routes in the northern part of the world are becoming increasingly viable. Before, It was almost impossible for cargo ships to pass through the Arctic because the sea was permanently frozen. But as the climate gets warmer, some routes stay open for longer periods of time. And if this continues, it's possible that there will be a faster route from Asia to Europe through the Arctic Ocean. This means that shipping time and costs could be reduced. That's why for many countries, they don't just see ice in Greenland. They see the future of trade, resources, and strategic control in the Arctic. And as global interest in Greenland intensifies, the question about Greenland's own future becomes even more important. Currently, Greenland is an autonomous territory under the Kingdom of Denmark. It has its own parliament and government that handle most local affairs. But defense and foreign policy are still largely connected to Denmark. However, many Greenlanders now want greater control over their own land and resources. Some believe that one day it could possibly become a fully independent country. But that issue is complicated because a large part of Greenland's economy is still supported by Denmark through annual financial grants. If it becomes independent, it will need to have enough income of its own from industries like fishing, tourism, and mining. And this is where the balance becomes more difficult, because as more economic opportunities arise in Greenland, the risks to its environment also increase. Some want to expand mining and development, but there are also others who want to protect the fragile Arctic ecosystem. And the Greenland government already showed this in 2021 when they stopped issuing new oil exploration permits because of climate concerns. In other words, they don't want to risk the environment just for quick profit. Greenland is also an active participant in Arctic discussions and climate negotiations. They often present the perspective of indigenous communities who have long lived in the Arctic region. For them, it's not just resources at stake here, but also culture, the environment, and the future of the next generation. And as time goes by, many observers see two possible directions for Greenland. First, it could possibly become an independent country someday, using its resources and international partnerships to build its own economy. Second, it could also remain connected to Denmark, but with greater self-governance and local control. Whatever happens, it's clear that Greenland will continue to change in the coming decades. As the ice melts more, it becomes more connected to the rest of the world. More ships, more businesses, more political interest. But along with this, there are more dangers and tougher decisions, because Greenland is not just a simple island of ice. It's a place where climate change, geopolitics, natural resources, and the future of the Arctic all meet. And for the roughly 56,000 people living here, the world their children will see in the future will likely be very different from the Greenland we know today. Less ice, more connections to the world, but still carrying the cold, intense, and unique spirit of the Arctic that has long shaped life on this island.